Howdy everyone, and welcome back to The Rancher. I'm your host, Austin Halverson, and today again we have the second edition of the Weekend Cowboy series, which I started last week with a little bull riding action in Leander, Texas. Now this week we're going a little further north and we're changing events. I was invited with my wife to go to one of her co-workers' retirement parties, and so I said, while we're up there in Liberty Hill, let's go ahead and check out the steer roping that's happening this weekend. Next weekend is the Liberty Hill Professional Rodeo, which is hosted actually at the Cowboy Church outside of town. So we're gonna head up there, check out the steer roping, and I'm gonna bring you all along. Liberty Hill is where we actually lived when we first moved to the Austin area. I'm originally from Oklahoma, and she's from East Texas, and so we moved here a little over a year ago for work and are looking forward to going back to Liberty Hill. We just moved out of there, but loved the community and everything about it, just had to move for work. So looking forward to bringing y'all along on this great adventure and learning a little bit more, or teaching y'all a little bit more about steer roping. So stay tuned. Liberty Hill is situated right at the intersection of Highway 29 and 183, which really puts it at the perfect spot for the growth that it's seeing today. But it also is kind of a gateway to the hill country. The eastern side of Liberty Hill feels a little bit more like Waco over into the Brazos Valley. Farmland, lots of ranch land in the area. But as you go into the western side, it starts to get more hilly. There's a lot more rocks and feels more like the hill country. The next towns over to the west are, of course, Bertram and Burnett over in Burnett County. And, from there on 29, all you see coming in and out of that area are people with campers, kayaks, and whatnot. So Liberty Hills really, it didn't see much growth. Like I said, 900 people lived here. But in the last few years, with the boom in Austin, the desire for good school districts, big lots, all of these pastures in this area have turned into neighborhoods. We lived in a neighborhood that backed up to a pasture with Brahman cattle. My wife taught in a school where you could see cattle from her window. So the area is just growing rapidly. And it's a 5A school, which is one of the biggest that you can be here in Texas, and they're just continuously having to change their plans, revise for more growth, and build more and more schools with more capacity. So really an interesting town. Not much history to it because of its size and whatnot. Willie Nelson did have one of his first 4th of July celebrations out here, and there was a funny story I read in the local paper about how a bunch of naked hippies had taken over downtown, which is a pretty small area. So I don't think he was welcome back, and the more conservative ranching folks that lived in this area weren't a fan of that. So just a fascinating little town. Think anything, the hill country, it's kind of quintessential to that, and we'll show you the downtown strip here in just a minute. All right, Catherine, where are we right now?
So we're at Mojo's, which is my favorite coffee shop in Liberty Hill. I would come out of my way to come here in the mornings on Fridays to treat myself before going to work. And so I got actually a energy drink. I got strawberry and coconut instead of my usual cold brew with vanilla and half.
Yeah, it's a little hard to drink any coffee, dairy products when it's almost 100 degrees out, so we opted for the energy drinks today. But Mojo's really cool. It's not just one location. They've got locations all over the Central Texas Hill Country area. But if you're in Liberty Hill and you need some coffee, this is the place to go. They also have one in Burnett, but always love coming here. And if you're ever needing energy drink, anything off 29, I would check out Mojo. It's run by local high schoolers, so you know you're contributing to the community, and it's just a great spot. But of course, there's always a line, and I think we got lucky today, didn't we? This is probably the shortest line we've ever been in for
Yes.
For Mojo. So
I've seen people fight for each other to get in line.
yeah, so this is a insider tip from some people that used to live up here. Check out Mojo. All right, first taste. How is it?
Delicious. So yummy.
What did you get again?
It's basically sugar-free Red Bull, but it's strawberry and coconut flavorings in it.
Very cool. Very
Yes,
cool.
I wasn't feeling coffee.
Well, we were going to take some videos of downtown, but every year around this time of year, we forgot there's a little festival they call the Whimsy and Wonder Festival, which kind of a weird name, kind of a weird festival. But it has taken over downtown, so they weren't letting anyone in, which, as I described, is only a few blocks anyway. So hopefully in a future video, we can get a little recording of that for y'all, but trust us, you can look it up online. There's some cool stuff. They've got a brewery, which is called Hell or High Water, that we used to go to all the time, and there's a cool little general store on the corner. So just a fun little Texas town, if you will. But won't be able to see that today, so sorry for that. So right after I recorded this bit of the video, we pulled up to the steer roping, and it was over for the day. So we kind of had to figure out something else to do for the hour or so before the retirement party was going to start. And one of the things I neglected to mention in my description of Liberty Hill is that it lies in between the north and south fork of the San Gabriel River, which is not really one of the most or better known rivers in the area, but there's a brewery called the San Gabriel Brewery that we went to. And so hopefully you enjoy this little montage of us going to the brewery. I had a Pilsner, which is one of my favorite types of beers, and Catherine had, I believe it was one of their blondes, but tasted a lot like a Hefeweizen. So cool little spot. They were celebrating their 6-year anniversary, I believe, and had a crawfish boil going on. So great place to hang out, check out some live music, and sit and enjoy the weather. All right, Catherine, where are we?
We are in Liberty Hill.
Why are we here again?
We're going to a steer roping competition at the town's Cowboy church.
Yeah, so we might have lied. We are going to be able to show you downtown. We had to come back the next day because they were actually done by the time we came up here yesterday, because of course we were only just going to stop by before the retirement party. So This thing starts here in about 5 minutes, so we're gonna roll through town. We'll show you that real quick, and then we will get to the steer roping. So stay tuned, and we'll see you there. So both the Liberty Hill steer roping and rodeo are held at the Williamson County Cowboy Church. So what you're looking at here is actually their main building, and they had a playground with a little bull to practice bull riding on. So it was a cool, fun place. They had a nice concession stand. We didn't eat anything there because we'd already had lunch, but wanted to talk a little bit about the event that is steer roping. So steer roping used to be called steer tripping, and the whole point of steer roping is that this was a way, if you're familiar with calf roping or tie down roping, where it's typically something you'll see at a rodeo where the competitor will come out and actually rope a calf and go down, flank it, or lift it up, set it on the ground, and tie it. Steer roping was the way that people did brandings on larger animals such as steers. A full-grown man is going to have a really hard time roping a steer and flanking it, so the idea was you would utilize your horse and your rope to trip the steer as it was coming around, and then you would more easily be able to get off and tie it down. So as you can see here, there's an art to it, but essentially what you want to do is you want to catch the steer around the horns, because the most manageable way to do it is around the horns, and then you want to throw the slack onto one side of the steer, and then when your horse turns, the slack will catch that steer and turn them around, or flip them if you see, flip them around and drag them a bit so that you're able to get off and tie them down, because again, full-grown steers weigh quite a bit more than your average guy, so you need to be able to get them down on the ground so you can tie them and brand them just like you would with a calf in this situation. So of course, after you tie them, you've got to wait a few seconds until you get on your horse, and the whole point of that, for it to be a legal catch, is so that whenever the people need to come out to brand it or doctor it or whatever, they have the time to get to that steer. So it's got to be a good catch, and as you can see on this one, the steer got up too quickly, so he wasn't going to be able to flank it and had to give up. So really a fascinating event. You don't see it very often, but really a cool thing if you're ever able to go out and catch a steer roping performance. All right, Catherine, that was your first ever time seeing steer roping. It was my first time seeing it in person. It used to be called steer tripping. What'd you think?
I liked it. I liked because I really didn't know the difference between steer and calf roping before, but I could see the difference pretty much as you walk up. So it was really entertaining, but it was very hot, but luckily we had a nice wind, and so that kept us nice and cool.
Yeah, we didn't last too long. I know they were going to do the progressive round and the championship there at the end, but we've got to get home, and it's Sunday, so all the Sunday scaries and everything else. But compared to calf roping, what would you say? I mean, I kind of explained it to you as being working smarter, not harder, right?
Mm-hmm. I mean, one of the biggest differences is just the size of the animal, and because the steer roping is significantly bigger than the calf, but also that the horse drags the steer after it's been roped, and so that's different from what I've seen with calf roping.
Yeah, you can lose some major points, especially in AQHA, if your horse drags the calf. So it's an interesting sport. I always enjoy seeing it. They typically don't have it with the rodeo. Like here in Liberty Hill, the rodeo's next weekend, but they went ahead and did the steer roping this weekend. But it is a PRCA event, and it's really cool that they brought it back in the recent past. So always enjoy going to those events, and hopefully we can make a video about the Liberty Hill Rodeo next weekend. So y'all stay tuned and look forward to doing that video. Until then, please like, subscribe, comment, whatever you want to do. We'd really appreciate it. This is the best way to spread the word about what I'm doing, and if you have any input on the Weekend Cowboy series or what we can do better, what you'd like to see, I would love to hear it. And until then, Godspeed and God bless.